Hello and welcome to IH Talks. I'm Christopher Walker from International House, Bielsko-Biała in Poland. Joining me today to talk about concept check questions is Stephen Tarbuck. Hello, Stephen.
Hi there. Hi.
So, Stephen, where are you?
I'm over at International House Bydgoszcz right now.
Wonderful. And you want to talk about concept check questions, which I think is quite fundamental to how most teachers operate in their lessons. You wrote an article on this topic for the International House Journal recently. What motivated you to write that article?
Yeah, okay. As you said, I wrote that article for issue 50, I believe. And perhaps if I talk about where the idea from that article came from, you'll see why I produced it. So working over at IH Bydgoszcz, they've got this thing called level meetings, which if you don't know what this is, it's a weekly meeting where teachers who are teaching similar classes or levels come together and they try to pool resources, get some rough ideas for their next lessons, commiserate their colleagues, all this kind of stuff. And part of that is using the senior teacher as a resource for their problems, their questions. And a big part of that this year was grammar questions. A lot of grammar questions. A lot, which is perfectly normal. And as the year progressed, I started to find I needed some kind of system for myself to be able to answer and produce these examples a bit faster. And I found doing that helped not just the teachers, not just to give them something to work with in the class, but it also tidied up my understanding. So many things that I thought, yeah, I've got it. And then sitting down to look at it, actually, I could do this a bit better. In looking for that system, that led me to Graham Workman's book, this Concept Questions and Timelines, which fantastic resource, absolutely fantastic resource. Really good examples, a very clear system, which I heavily referenced in that article. And the timeline examples, it's all super clear. And using that made it much clearer for me. And I really think it made it clearer for the newer teachers and hopefully their students, hopefully. And concept questions, as you said, they're quite a big, important thing. And over this time looking at it and spending more time with them, I think I found three key reasons here why they could be really useful.
Okay, tell us about that.
Cool. As I said a little bit before, they check everyone's understanding, not just the students, but you as a teacher. In the production and clarification and generation of CCQ questions, you start to check your own understanding. You check that you're perhaps not being overconfident, or that how you're expressing it, or the idea you want to get across. Can you make it a bit clearer? Can you make it a bit simpler? A second reason, sometimes we spend too much time exploring other things connected to grammar. Games, exercises, handouts, suitable homework. These are all very important, of course. We need students to engage with the language in lots of different ways. Very important. But it's like a friend of mine said recently. She's long been under the feeling that to get the grammar, students just need to practice. They just need practice and practice and practice. And of course, practice is important. After all, if they understood the grammar perfectly after our explanation, well, classes would be a lot shorter.
That's very true.
A lot shorter. And it made me wonder if perhaps we don't actually spend enough time clarifying or actually focusing on the language, which I know we can, for example, with young learners and teens, it's not good to spend too much time there, of course. Even with adults on a Friday afternoon, they may not be too accommodating to a lengthy grammar explanation. And a final point there, this self-reflection about our teaching, really. Generating CCQs, spending time thinking how to explain it in the simplest form is kind of going back to some basics, this grading language. For example, I spent a long time scratching my head about explaining the difference between have to and must.
Mm-hmm.
And this, for example, if the students understand the word obligation, problem solved, problem solved. But if they haven't got that obligation, scratch, 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 scratch. Because my instinct there would be to explain, well, it's something you have to do. Actually, that's what I want you to understand.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's something you must do. Ah, same problem. Something you want to do? Aha. When we start thinking like this, something you want to do, but something you don't want to do, someone else makes you do it. As I said, takes us back to basics, thinks about grading that language, and also makes you question, do I actually spend enough time clarifying language?
Mm-hmm.
Or in my lesson plan, because I've spent so much time preparing these wonderful games and exercises and other stuff, am I just rushing to get to this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do I just want to make sure I cover the page or the exercise? Is that what's most important? If I've produced this material, I don't want it to go to waste. So yeah, it's this plus this plus this. You use it for this, fantastic. Student book, boom. Whew.
There we
Okay.
go. Yeah. So if I can summarize then, Stephen, we've been talking about the idea of concept check questions, which our listeners will be familiar with, of course, because it's an integral part of the teaching process. You think that we need to devote more time to preparing these concept check questions because it can help to reveal any shortcomings in our own understanding of a particular grammar point. If you attempt something off the cuff, you might find that you are either slightly wrong or very wrong or wrong in certain circumstances that you might just not have prepared for. So preparation is key, and it results in better understanding of grammar points for the students as well as for the teachers who are leading those lessons.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Stephen Tarbuck, for telling us all about the importance of CCQs. And that brings us to the end of another IH Talk. Thank you very much. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.